Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. And it's called Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, but we could say doing life with a servant's heart. They go back and forth, and that's what I love about a servant's heart. It fits everywhere. We believe when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference, and that does happen, trust me. And you're going to hear about it today with this unbelievable guest. Now, we created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a community leader, or simply someone looking to bring more purpose into your daily life, this podcast is here to support you. And as I said, you're going to hear some great things and a great story from this guest. Take a pad and paper out. Think about how you're going to serve today and what impact will you create today with that service. And I want to thank today's sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Picture yourself joining an elite community of high-income, extremely successful business owners, entrepreneurs who are thought leaders and want to share their network with you and grow each other together. It's a cool way of masterminding and building a powerful network of events and workshops, and incredible opportunity, too, to expand your network and elevate your business to new heights. If you have any questions about Pantheon Alliance, please reach out to me and I'll get you more information. With that being said, I want to welcome my incredible guest. It's got to be a movie. It probably is. If it's not, I may have to produce it. But Yanko, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me.
Ignite is in your name of your business. It really caught my eye, because that means so many things. Why did you include that in your business name, and what do you mean by igniting?
So for me, I found that once I incorporated an idea to who I am deciding to show up in the world as, I really took it from and started to really run with that idea. I became that thing. So whether it was, being a drug kingpin, which, we can talk about later or not, or whether it was becoming a Hasidic Jew or becoming a coach, that fire that got lit inside me became the guiding light of who I was going to be and how I was going to show up to life.
It's exactly what I was thinking. Flames have a life of their own. Fire has a life, and firefighters will tell you that's how they fight them. So let's get to the story. You mentioned it, and Ignite kind of leads me to it. I think you're the first Jew that was a drug dealer that I know. And not that I know a lot of drug dealers, but I do know a few that have been there. How'd that start? And you started at a very young age.
Yeah. So for me, it started as, I guess, a necessity, because the backstory is that I was a troubled kid who was undersized in an ill fit for a machoistic world. And that led me to feeling a certain level of inadequacy, depression, general unworthiness of being a man in the world. And I found that there was a great remedy to all of my problems, which was to get high. And then I would totally forget, I'm supposed to be this, I'm supposed to be that. I was just in a totally different world. Now, that started for me at age 14, and I was not working a job. I had my weekly allowance, which was $10 to $15 for taking out the garbage 3 times a week. And that was not enough to support my habit. And particularly the more that I wanted to get high, the more money that it cost. So, I would consider myself to be a pretty savvy business person. And I decided that one year, instead of getting a PlayStation for my birthday, I asked for cash instead, and that became the seed money for my illicit business that allowed me to serve other people, pun intended, I guess, and also serve myself by, by having the product to accomplish the goal that I sought out.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say serve, because you were serving. There's servant hearts that are not good. And from our faith, Jewish and Christian, there's been told that. I mean, Pontius Pilate is the guy that comes to my name right away. He served in a negative way, and to recognize that at 14 to 19 is amazing. And it's amazing when we need money, what we'll do, right?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I took it to a pretty extreme level beyond kind of what I really needed, and I made it into an empire.
And it's amazing because I am a big fan of Pablo Escobar, and not what he did, but the smarts that he had. It sounds like drug dealers are smart. They're just doing something illegal and very bad. But Pablo Escobar could have probably started a restaurant and probably had 1,000 restaurants in Colombia and made a lot of money. He decided to go that route. Kind of reminds me of you. You're the Pablo Escobars of Jews in a sense, because you say an empire. What kind of money were you making at that young age?
Yeah, so by the time that all was said and done, I was making about $200,000 a year cash with about 10 people under who worked for me, including a full-time bodyguard.
You started a business at a young age.
Yes.
And what I want to ask you, I'm going to ask you it anyways. What did you learn from that? Because you really did start a business to now with your coaching. What brought over to your coaching that you learned from that?
Oh, there's a lot of lessons. Maybe the top few that I learned was if you have a product to sell or a service that you're going to sell, then you want to seek out your clients in the place that they are to be found, right? So once upon a time, right, when I was selling, whatever, when I was selling drugs, I wouldn't go to a public library to sell my drugs. I would go to a nightclub to sell my drugs, right? That is a very clear distinction between where your clients are and where they're clearly not. So I wouldn't, put any marketing money or whatever, ad dollars, if you want to call it that, into the public library or spend any of my time there whatsoever, because it was not going to lead me to finding my clients. So today, for example, as a coach, I'm not going to be putting I'm not going to be putting any of my energy into, let's say, people who need therapy, as an example, right? Like, it's not my field. I know that this is not my field. I don't want to coach people who have mental disabilities, because that's not really what they need, and it wouldn't serve them, and it wouldn't serve me. And so I put my energy into business leaders who are trying to get to the next level of where they want to go, and that's where I'm focusing my service.
Well, you said a beautiful thing there. I'm going to recap is you can't help them. They can't help you. A servant heart, doing business with a servant's heart, says no. And it helps both people. I know people sometimes don't get that. I talk about this a lot, but I love that you said that, because you really are helping them too, because they're not fitting with you. They're not going to grow with you. So you're going to take money. They're not getting anything out of it. And what's going to happen? oh, Yankel's a terrible coach. Well, it's not you necessarily. It's just, especially coaching is very intimate. And I think there has to be that relationship that you do so well. You know, I've had a number of people, honesty, I can think of on my show that was a meth head. She called her a dope sick from 12 to 20. So similar to your story and a couple others. But rehab was kind of like that pivotal time for them where they learned something and recovered. And of course, you're always in recovery. Did you learn anything in rehab that helps you today?
For sure. One of the first things that I heard in rehab is when I say rehab, I mean the final rehab that actually worked for me, because there was plenty of attempts made before that. But the final rehab that worked for me, something that I actually use, and I didn't even really pick up on the similarity. But the first thing that they told us to do is tell me what would happen if you were to use a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month, and a year. And what that forced me to realize was that there is a stark reality. Like there is a dream in my head of what using and getting high looks like, and it's so far removed from what the actual reality of the situation is. So, for example, my answer was, and I was being very brutally honest, and I said, if I were to get high today, a week from now, I would purchase an AK-47. A week after that, I would rob a drug dealer, and a week after that, I would be back in business, full throttle, even higher than I was before. And that would be the trajectory. So how does that now in my business today, in coaching today? A lot of times I will ask people, take me to the very farthest end of your fear, right? So let's say there's a guy who doesn't want to do something that he knows that would be good for him because he's afraid, right? So if you go all the way to the illogical end of your fear, let's say a guy doesn't want to purchase a present for his wife, okay, good example, because the budget is super tight and he can't afford it right now, according to him, right? But in his mind, what he's really saying is, actually, if I buy my wife this gift, then I'm going to be homeless, because that's the very end of his fear, right? The same kind of framing and context that I was taught when I was in rehab, I'm using now in coaching, and didn't even realize it. So thank you for that.
No, and I appreciate you saying multiple rehabs, because that's what I've heard too. It's not like the addict, and I've never been, and that's why I love learning this stuff, is you're never an addict, walk in rehab, and 6 weeks later you come out and go, yeah, I'm good. Let's go, world. It's just, it's so complicated. You're in coaching, you've been through all this. If you ran into somebody that's an addict, what's one or two things you would tell them to start doing right now?
That's a good question.
I know it's a tough one.
It's a tough one because, well, the difficult part is that it's absolutely impossible, and people think that they can force this on people, but it's absolutely impossible to force someone, especially in that type of situation. I mean, even a regular person, you cannot force your will on anyone else in any way, shape, or form, and how much more so somebody who is super addicted to a particular way of doing things, right? So if they have a desire, express a desire to stop, at that point, then I would have something to say. If they're still in the middle of it and they are totally happy with where they are, unfortunately, you can only pray that they will hit rock bottom without taking their own life, and then they'll be able to bounce back if they so choose.
Yeah, Yankel, that's the best answer I've heard in a long time. It's the honesty. Not that other people weren't honest, but you're right. You run into that. Your best thing is just step away. When you're ready, I'm here. Sometimes that's the best advice in the world. Man, I love what you're saying. So let's turn this thing around a little bit. There's people out there addicted to their business.
Hmm.
80-hour weeks. Have you worked with clients like that? And if you haven't, how would you coach them? I'm working 80 hours a week. I don't see my family, but I'm making a crap load of money.
Right. Yeah. So I have worked with people like that.
Okay.
And I think the biggest thing is for people to see the the full picture of what they're creating, right? So there's a very famous story that I've heard about a simple fisherman and a businessman, and they meet up. The fisherman is fishing, and the businessman meets up with him, and he says, "Well, hey, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm fishing because I'm going to feed my family and sit by the fire and enjoy each other's company." And the businessman says, "Well, look, you're so good at fishing. We should make this into a business." And the fisherman says, why should I do that?" And the businessman says, "Because then you'd be able to make a lot of money and hire your friends. And then you could feed your family plus your friends and sit around the fire and enjoy life." And the fisherman saying to himself, like, "I'm already doing this. Why? I don't need to do that." So if you're really looking at the big picture of what you're creating, people have in their minds that, okay, I'm going to work super hard for the next 20 to 30 years, and then I'll be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Now, according to the natural biology of things, right? The sooner that you have kids, the better it's going to be for you in terms of your ability to have children. So let's say you have children, I don't know, 5 years in on average, let's say, right, to your marriage. So you're 25 years now, still working 80 hours a week. You don't see your family. And by the time that you are able to retire and see your family, they've already grown up and left the house. So what did you accomplish?
Nothing. I'm going to use that. That's a great story because, you could be saying, man, I love you. I love your attitude. It's so awesome because you could work 20 hours a week and be working hard, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, as a religious Jew, okay, this is really one of the great benefits of Sabbath. There is a full day,
Mhm.
26 hours, in which we are totally detached from our phones, from business, from the world, essentially, just to spend with our families. And for me, honestly, it is the most treasured time of my week. Absolutely 100%. I am fully present with my children. There is no distractions because I can't have any distractions. And I just get to be there with them and ask them questions about their week. And I have nowhere to go to. I have no desire to be anywhere else.
And you don't worry about it either.
No,
You're not like,
because
oh, I need to
yeah,
get my phone. I need to, oh my God, that's going to miss out. My client needs it. That's really checking out. That's the best way to check out. And it's great
well,
that
checking in to my
checking
family.
in. That's
Yeah.
better. Thank you. See, I always learn on my podcast. So thank you. I'm going to start using it, checking in. And here's the power of a diverse world. You're Jewish and I'm Christian, and we can have these conversations. I get excited about this because we can learn from anybody, no matter what their background is. And I appreciate you saying that. I'm going to ask you a very personal question. What do you
Go
think your
for it.
superpower is? What's your superpower?
My superpower is the ability to be present in a conversation and really see through the lines of what it is that you would like to be saying but are not.
It's powerful. And how do you accomplish that?
Uh, I try. I try to quiet my mind so that I'm not concerned with what I'm going to say next, and I'm just listening to the words you're saying, how you're saying them, and being as present as I possibly can to what it is that you're saying.
Audience, listen to that over and over again because that is the $1,000,000 tip. Seriously. And I talk about, you're going to love this now that we're friends. I'm going to call us that. Is I tell people, shut up and listen. Because we shut
Yep.
up, but are they really listening on that Zoom call or, at a conference, the guy's falling asleep during his, not listening. And that's okay. I know things happen, but I love that you said that, because listening is one of the components of leadership, business ownership, entrepreneur. I mean, across the board, if that one skill that you teach and help people with is listening, you're a rock star, my friend.
Thank you. I think that's the foundation of service. How can you possibly be serving if you're here? I need to be there by you in order to serve.
I love it, because I heard a story. This lady's a coach and talking to somebody, and they weren't listening. Go, well, I've got a great plumber introduction for you. Well, I didn't need help with my pipes. What do you mean a plumber? Oh, I thought you said you need help with your, and we've heard many, many stories like that. We're coming to the end here. How can people reach out to you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. My LinkedIn and my website are the best ways to get in touch with me. So on LinkedIn, it's Yankel Meislin, and my website is igniteyourflamecoaching.com. And if it would serve anybody out there to have a conversation, please feel welcome to reach out.
That's a true servant's heart there. I know, audience, you're probably sick of me saying that, but we talked about before in the green room how service is not just there. You're talking to people all the time like, I didn't know, I don't have time, or fear. And thank you. This has been a great message. Your story is unbelievable.
Thank you.
I think we're going to talk later, make that into a movie, but we'll talk about that later. I want to leave with this last question. This is kind of a personal, deep, get to know you question. So you're in a restaurant, there's a table of 4, you're sitting at one table. Who would sit in the other 3 seats, dead or alive, and why would they be there? And I think the most important question is, what food would you order? I love that laugh.
Okay, here we go. So my spiritual mentor would be sitting to my right. He is very much alive, thank God, and he should continue to do well. My coach would be across from me, and my father would be next to him. I would be so surrounded by absolute love and wisdom, and just having just people who have served me throughout my entire life, or a good majority portion of it. And we would be eating, I would probably steak.
Oh, I didn't expect that. Now you caught me off guard there. I love it. What kind of steak? Can we get a little deeper?
I'm not so what I would say.
Like a sirloin or tomahawk or filet mignon, or
no, it would be a tomahawk steak probably, because there's some kosher ones some of them that are not kosher, some cuts. So
yeah,
I have had filet mignon in my life, but I don't think that's so easy to come by in a kosher version. So yeah. it would be the the T-bone rib cut, really nice, thick, juicy, medium rare.
I want to go in that waiting
with
list,
some mashed potatoes on the side.
I'm going to go in that list. If you get me one more chair, I would be, oh my God, getting hungry right now thinking about it. I love it. And what I love what you did, and you're a great coach, I can see, because you actually put them in each right, center, left. That's deep thinking. If you're looking for a coach, these are one of the guys. This is one guy you want to talk to, because a coach needs to be specific. Listen and be specific, not like, hey, I need to make a lot of money. Okay, let's find you. No, let's get granular. So I love that you did that. The specificity was right on. Okay. Well, thank you again, Yankel. This has been an incredible show. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. You'll see the link in the chat. It's on Apple TV, Roku, and all those. See this big old head in your 70-inch screen TV. Trust me, you'll look at the guests more than me. So that is good. And as always, me and Yankel, thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day.